when I got to the UK, I'll say I was at a point of no return. When you have actually, I was given a post in Osun State which I rejected. So I found myself in a situation where I need to do anything. I need to do something to keep my life going. So I found myself in a warehouse. See what I mean? So every day walking, I cry, thinking about who I was and the situation I am at that time. And at that time, I met a guy who was also a bank manager in Nigeria. So he saw me crying, and then he came to me, bro,
So, really crying, sharing tears?
Yeah, I cry all the time, like every day, all the time. Yeah, I do cry all the time. Sometimes I'm walking, and at the same time I'm crying. It was that time that I understand, you can sleep without your eyes closed.
Yeah, traveling out of Nigeria is a dream for many. But the reality is a thing only a few truly understand. Welcome to Naija Across Borders. I'm the host, Ayo Adebayo. Today I have another special guest that I appreciate so much. Is somebody with experience when it comes to politics in Nigeria. He has done so many things before moving to the UK. Please welcome with me to this episode of Naija Across Borders. Oladimeji Iriayomi Omilonlo. Welcome to Naija Across Borders.
Thank you.
You are looking so handsome.
Thank you.
For the benefit of those who are just seeing you for the first time, I'm talking about our audience. Could you just please tell us more about yourself, where you were living back then in Nigeria, and what you were doing before you relocated?
Well, like you said, my name is Oladimeji Iriayomi Omilonlo. And back in Nigeria, I was very active politically. And I live across 3 states. I live in Osun State, which is my home country. I live in Lagos and Abuja. So, and I'm an entrepreneur, do a lot of businesses back home. I venture into whatever business that comes with money, you see. So that's what I do.
From your introduction, somebody who is into businesses and also into politics. Because like I mentioned, the little homework we did, I know you even won contested for maybe a very reputable office. It is obvious you are not suffering in Nigeria. What then prompted you to relocate? At what point did you decide to jackpot?
Right. That's a very direct question, I'd say. However, yes, I contested for the post of representative at the National Assembly. I lost my primaries, and I was actually active until the end of, the last election in Osun State that, brought upon the current governor of Osun State, Excellency Senator Ademola Nuruddin Jackson. So, like you said, it wasn't bad back at home. Things were not, difficult, like you said. However, sometimes it's not about the location, it's about the destination. So sometimes you just, make choices that's going to be in your best interest, isn't it? So it's about the destination at this time. It's not really about the location. That I am, yeah.
As a politician, back home, entrepreneur, somebody who, I can call you all-rounder, national figure from Lagos, Abuja, Osun State. What experience in the UK humbled you most? I've heard people that said, as a bank manager, when they came in, they have to do care job. I've heard somebody who was a CEO back then in Nigeria who said when he moved in, he had to wash plate, not just family plate, now he has to hustle. And all this work that entails you washing plate and picking. Was there any experience when you moved in that really humble you, that you look like, shame me now, is this me? Could you share anyone with us?
To be fair, I don't think I've ever said this to anyone before, but I think I'm going to grace this interview with this secret.
Thank you.
So, when I got to the UK, I'll say I was at a point of no return. When you have actually, I was given a post in Osun State which I rejected. So I found myself in a situation where I need to do anything. I need to do something to keep my life going. So I found myself in a warehouse. See what I mean? So every day walking, I cry, thinking about who I was and the situation I am at that time. And at that time, I met a guy who was also a bank manager in Nigeria. So he saw me crying, and then he came to me, bro,
So, really crying, sharing tears?
Yeah, I cry all the time, like every day, all the time. Yeah, I do cry all the time. Sometimes I'm walking, and at the same time I'm crying. It was that time that I understand, you can sleep without your eyes closed. Your brain can actually shut down and your eyes are still open. So I found myself in that situation. So when I met the guy, it was like, a therapeutic, friendship for me, because, we were able to talk about where we're coming from and where we are. And to God be the glory, we are where we are today, and then we give glory to God. Yeah, it's better, isn't it?
It's touching.
Yeah, so to an extent, yeah.
How did you survive?
Yeah, well, it was difficult.
What kept you going?
Being a man, I'll say. I just have to do it. I can't go back to Nigeria because I was given a very beautiful position to be part of the government, but I decided not to. It was my personal decision. It goes against everything I believe. So I found myself in a situation where I need to keep everything I've worked for in my life running. So I needed the money. So I've got to do what I've got to do.
I could feel your story. Okay, let me ask this question, a bit related to your story. Before your relocation, how did you imagine life would be in the UK compared to the reality now?
Right. So before I left Nigeria, I've always, traveled. So I know life here is not like bed of roses and all of that. But I would say one thing that I do not understand that I get to know in this country is the people's culture, how the people envisage existence. So I find that a little bit mixed with what I thought the United Kingdom is going to be. The people are very different from my people, so it takes a lot of work to blend in. And blending in sometimes is one of the difficult things for any human to encounter. You see, so it's hard to blend in. When what you are, you need to take off who you are sometimes to blend in, because it's not easy to blend in with anything. That's like you. I don't actually know how to put that together, but it's actually you trying to be what you're not really. Yeah.
Okay, please, I would like your honest and direct answer on this question. Is living in the UK better than living in Nigeria?
It's two ways.
I said I would like yes or no.
Okay, yeah, so it's not at all.
Why did you say so?
First of all, Nigeria is it's a very beautiful country, a very beautiful place to be, and I'm not saying the United Kingdom is not a beautiful place as well. People from the United Kingdom will say the same thing about the United Kingdom. So we've got our challenges, and every country on the planet got challenges. You see, so whatever we're going through doesn't define us as a people. So it's better back home, yeah.
Do people back home think you are richer than the way you are? They think you are making more money than you are really making?
Right. It's to be fair, a lot people back home think people living abroad, especially the West, they think people are really living extravagant life, a glamorous life and everything, but the reality is different. We don't talk about it. It's like, I'll say it's like a cult. People don't talk about it as they are supposed to. So you don't have to tell the next person what they have to say about the Western world, because everybody knows. They want people back home to understand that the life here is beautiful. So this has been like that forever, and then people have automatically believe the West is like heaven, is paradise and all of that, but the reality is not.
I love your answer, and that is one of the reasons this Naija Across Borders is being established. We want to tell the story the way it is, not to discourage anybody from traveling abroad, but we want to tell you those reality that is difficult for so many to share. Then we'll leave you alone to make your decision. If I may ask, is UK overrated?
Well, any country in the world that deals with tourism is going to be, overrated. Considering the British Empire as, one of the greatest empire in the history of human existence, at least our, most recent history and all of that. So there's no how the United Kingdom is not going to be, published to the world more than what they actually are. So,
what I know about politicians, most of them are not diplomatic. But you answer my question diplomatically. Is UK overrated, yes or no?
Yes.
I love the answer. Okay, moving forward. Thank you for that sincere answer.
Yeah, I say overrated to the people who've not been there.
Who've not been there. Okay, I love that. Thank you so much. Looking back now, what is the biggest lesson you think you've learned so far since you moved into the UK about life?
Well, United Kingdom is a learning ground, especially for black people, considering our history.
Is there anything you miss so much about Nigeria?
I miss everything.
Could you tell us one major thing you really missed about Nigeria?
The people.
The people.
Yeah, I miss the people a lot. That's why I use every opportunity to be back home.
When did you move to the UK, if I may ask?
It's about half a decade now.
Have you visited home since then?
I go to Nigeria nothing less than 5 times in a year.
5 times in a year, wow. You still have a very strong connection back home.
Yeah.
Are we still thinking of going to politics, if I may ask?
Politics is like an attachment. You can't actually take it out of yourself. It brews from wanting to change something. If you have to change something, you have to especially when it's got to do with the people. So yeah, it's in me, and it's something nothing can take out of me until, at least to an extent, we see some reasonable changes in our society.
I love that. And sincerely speaking, I must say I appreciate you. And so many people left Nigeria, and since then they've never visited. I've had encounter with some people that will tell you I've left Nigeria 10 years ago, and since then I've not. But someone like you still have that passion to make a difference. I must say I appreciate you. And I think if you have to advise Nigerians in diaspora, not just in the UK, like people who have left many years ago and I feel now that I've escaped, to some people they've escaped. What do you say to such people?
To be fair, if anyone says that they don't want to go back to Nigeria, we can't blame them. We've got different experience, and then we got different threshold to suffering, poverty, and a lot of things going in Nigeria. My advice for people who left Nigeria probably a long time ago, who's just left and think they've escaped, they don't want to go back home. There's nowhere you can be. There's no comfort zone on this planet than where you're from. Sometimes some people do not get to understand this until they need to understand it. So there's no place like home, no matter what we're going through. We're going through a lot, definitely a lot of challenges in the country at this time, but it doesn't mean that is how we were and that's how we're going to be forever. So we need to look inward.
You speak like a true Nigerian.
I am.
You must be very proud of that great nation.
I am.
Just like myself. We are one.
Yeah.
The best country in the whole world.
It is, yeah.
We have the potential to be the best country. Yeah. And I believe Nigeria will be better one day.
Yeah.
If you have to look at the camera now and talk to that young man who is planning to jackpot in court now, what advice would that be?
Well, I would say if you it's a long-term thinking something, you see. So if your journey needs you to be, to live in a foreign land before you actually get to where you're going, I'd advise you to get the next, plane available to get yourself out of Nigeria. However, if your journey does not have anything to do with the United Kingdom, if you look inward and understand you don't really need to be anywhere to be who you want to be, you don't have any reason to be somewhere else apart from being in Nigeria. So,
someone said UK is not for the lazy man. What do you say to that?
It's always been the mantra of I say the Caucasian people. They're great people. They're great people, very smart people. So yes, United Kingdom is not for lazy people, because you've got to work. If you look at the culture in this country, you see someone who is 80 years old still working hard, to make ends meet and all of that. Whereas back home, someone who is 80 years is back, at home, living on, children. You see what I mean? So I'd say yes, it's not for the lazy. It's not for the lazy. It's the way the society is structured. Yeah.
If you had to mention 3 things you've come to appreciate about the United Kingdom, or let me put it this way, what are the 3 things you think UK does better than Nigeria?
Well, it's very difficult to say the United Kingdom is doing something better than Nigeria, because if you look deep into the United Kingdom, the government, the strategies and all of that, the country operates on, there are a lot of flaws. However, there are a lot of things we, do appreciate about, the United Kingdom. First of all, I'll say the database. It's amazing what they have here. It's really amazing compared to where I was coming from. So the database is something I really appreciate about them. Amazing database. And I love the networking as well. What do I mean by networking? Human networking, road networking, business networking, finance networking. So there's a lot of networking here. The easiest way to explain that is, talking about if you're traveling anywhere in the United Kingdom and you missed, your way, and instantly you're going to be, rerouted to a better place. So that's how it works with every other things as well. If anything happened to you in this country, instantly they're rerouting you to do better things with your life and everything. So I appreciate that as well. And also I appreciate the people's commitment and how people are very disciplined. Yeah, they are disciplined people to an extent, I'll say. So especially when it comes to their connection with the government. Whenever you see a country whose connection with the people is fantastic, the country is going to grow. So I say discipline, networking, and the database. Yeah,
I love that. Then what are the 3 things you think Nigeria does better than the UK? Is there any?
Yes.
Someone said corruption. One of our guests once said corruption. Just kidding. What are the 3 things you think you appreciate more about Nigeria than the UK?
Yeah. There's no country on the planet without corruption, like you said. I'm just going to chip that in. There's no country on this planet without corruption, to be fair. So the things I appreciate about Nigeria that is very difficult, to see here. First of all, the people, like I said. Nigeria has got, fantastic people, very welcoming people who are very selfless, and I'd say yes, we've got our challenges when it comes to people, talk of, what poverty can, structure people to be, but they are very nice people back at home. Also, we've got the best weather, one of the best weather in the world.
Nobody would dispute that.
Yeah, and another thing is, to be successful in Nigeria is, quite easier than to be successful here in the United Kingdom. There is a way the system here is structured that you will be, and you would be within what they want you to be. But back in Nigeria, you can be anything.
Are you talking about free money in Nigeria?
Not free money. It's about how you can structure things concerning the population. You see, if you're doing any business back in Nigeria and you're selling it for just 10 naira, and you're able to get at least 50 million people to buy it from you, and you're making.
Then why is poverty so strong in Nigeria than the UK?
First, I'll say our leaders. We have very indisciplined leaders. very, very indisciplined people. To be fair, there's this politician that I respect a lot, the former president of the United States of America, President Barack Obama. He said, when you move to people, especially fancy people, you would get to know they're not what you think they are, in terms of intelligence, in terms of composure, in terms of empathy, and every futures a leader should have. And I've moved with a lot of them. I see who they are. One of the reasons why I'd say I rejected the appointment that was given to me by the Osun State government. A very respected musician in Nigeria, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, says Kolo mentality. I think it's colonial mentality. They lead to oppress. They lead to make people glorify them all the time. It's got to be them, and they don't account for whatever they do. Unlike here, where people can resign for doing silly mistakes.
The system works.
Yeah, the system works. Yeah. But back there, it's paddy government.
Government.
Yeah.
Let's move away from politics a bit. Let's go to social life. I got to know UK is very boring. Is that true?
The difference is the person saying UK is boring.
Is UK boring to you?
No, it's not, because for me, I live inward. Wherever I am, if I am there, I'm not bored. I live within myself. I am my own, happiness. I am my own, friend. So whoever says, most of the people saying Nigeria is boring, they have a very, very large social life back in Nigeria. Some people don't have a social life. Somebody like me, I've never been to a club in my life.
Really?
No, I haven't in my life. No.
That means your look is deceitful.
Sometimes, yeah.
You look like a funky someone.
I like to dress nice, but I don't like loud music. I don't like anywhere, any noisy environment. So for me, I've learned to live with myself. I can be in my private space and think of anything, imagine anything, and I'm fine with it. I'll say I'm an introvert. So an introvert to say UK is,
it's okay.
It's not boring, because it's always at that life. But someone who is an extrovert to say it's boring and everything. But if it's boring to you, make friends. Go out as much as you want. You can do a lot of things too.
Okay, maybe I should go a bit deeper to family life. Even though I will try not to go too deeply to your private life. I've had some guests on this show that say sometimes, because of shift, because of the nature of work, sometimes a week, maybe a wife and a husband may not really have time for family life, as in romance. Yeah. In your own case, have you experienced loneliness or boredom since you moved into the UK? Because I got to know you are married from my own work.
I would say, to be fair, living in the UK, especially when you're working, the structure of your job needs to do with shifting. I think you need to have a structured, lifestyle where you would, at least, it's very difficult, but if you, want to do it, I think with the way the system works here, you can do it. It's very good to structure your rota with your partner's rota.
Proper planning.
Yeah. And then sometimes, if you work weekends, just, give time for your children as well. Because at the end of the day, we're working for them. If we are not careful, they will end up saying we don't do nothing. So we need to just structure things together.
To balance things. I think I like your answer. What impact do you think Nigerians abroad can make back home? Some people, after relocating, they forget them. If you have to advise Nigerians in diaspora, what do you say?
I'd say a lot of newbies, especially, I'm part of the newbies, the people who got to the UK not up to 10 years. I'd say not, I'm not giving an exact, figure or number, but I'd say with the numbers of people I've, spoken with and the survey, about 80% of people who just got to this country would want to go back. And the reason is because they had, a beautiful life back at home. To come to the United Kingdom, you would be, I don't want to use the word okay, but I'll say financially, all right,
independent
to an extent. So you understand what life is. You've rotated money around, you moved money around. So a lot of people coming here now, they really want to go back home. Yeah, unlike the old people who, so a lot of them came here through visiting visa. It was difficult for them. So to be fair, when it comes to the impact, it is when people are making impact every day. Billions of dollars, billions of pounds has been sent to Nigeria every year by Nigerians in diaspora, making differences back at home, paying black tax. So what I mean by black tax is, family, friends, people are in, very difficult situation and all of that. So people are, giving their best, to make that country better than what it is today.
Fulfillment, they say, is different from enjoyment. Meaning some people can be enjoying, but they are not fulfilled. Are you truly happy and fulfilled with what you are doing in the UK right now?
That would, go back to the question you asked not quite long. It's about me.
No.
It's about me. I'm fulfilled, within myself. That's why I said it's not about the location. It's about the destination. Every human who's got a proper plan and a proper alignment with existence and how you want to live your life, you will be fulfilled. Fulfillment is like consciousness. It's difficult to explain. So being fulfilled, I'll say yes, I am. I've got things that I would want with my life, but I understand whatever I don't have at this minute is that I don't deserve it, or I've not done enough to have it. So I'm fulfilled with whatever I have today. Yeah.
As a married man in the UK, and from your response so far, it's like you have a proper planning with your wife. So many people don't have it that way. As a professional MC, I've anchored several events like couples night, and I've had to talk, especially with men. So many men in the UK are not happy with their partners. Some, they are married, but they are suffering loneliness. I've had several experiences. But in your own case, it seems it's a bit different. What advice do you have for men in the UK who seem not to be enjoying their marriages because maybe no time for romance? Some will say for like 2 months, no time for the other room because everybody is working. What advice could you give for that to avoid all these breaking homes we're having here and there?
Yes, so my advice would be take westernization out of your marriage. Total westernization, take it out of your marriage. So go back African. There's no way to structure your home better than what our ancestors.
Some women will disagree with that.
They will disagree with it because they think what they've been told about going back African is women total submission to the will of their husbands. However, that's not what it is. As a Yoruba man that I am, if you look at the history of Yoruba people, talking about Ifushetan, Ura, talking about very great women who's been part of our history, they're very powerful, and they were able to do great things because men, they were with the support of men. And another thing I want to say, women in my society can become king, regents. So women can rule. You see what I mean? We even have, goddesses like Oshun, like Oya, Yemoja. So that shows you that women are idolized in our society. So
if they are not slaves.
Yeah. So when they talk about going back African, it's harder for a man than a woman, because when we say go back to African, you have to idolize your woman. But when we say idolize your woman, there are boundaries. The problem we're having is going into Western. We are going into what we have no knowledge about, and then we are living by it. I said to someone not quite long, I said one of the most beautiful thing back home that people let go of because of the society is do not spank your children. I give all glory to God that I'm spanked. It helped me. A human being, there's a way we were structured. There's a way our reaction to existence is. So there are a lot of things we are living by today that has nothing to do with us. Life-wise, religion-wise, marriage-wise, raising your children-wise. So I'll just say go African. Yeah, it's beautiful. And if you have to go African, don't just pick it from the top. Do your research about what I mean. Not you turning your wife to a slave. Your wife kneeling to give you food and all of that. So just learn what African is. African make women very great. You see,
I think I like that. What you are saying is deep, but if I may speak to our audience, it is really heartbreaking, really, the way marriages are breaking in the UK. At least I know of UK, and I hear a lot about those in Canada and the US. Once we leave Nigeria, it's like some women, maybe they feel it's time for revenge based on maybe how they've been maltreated back home. I just want to plead. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Like he said, plan your life, idolize your woman, of course, with boundaries, and let's leave Western, culture alone and go back to Africa. When you were responding, you mentioned religion. I don't want to ask if you're a Muslim or a Christian, but I want to put it this way: the way religion is being practiced back home in Nigeria, and the way religion is being celebrated in the UK, either Christianity, Islam, or whatever. What can you say? What do you think? Which one do you think is, to you, is more appropriate?
Right. If you take poverty out of Nigeria, religion is going to fall. So as it's fell here.
If you take poverty out of religion, poverty is.
Yeah. If you take poverty out of Nigeria,
religion is going to fall.
Religion is going to fall. Fall really bad. So I think the people who are in charge of religion in Nigeria would never want poverty to leave Nigeria, to continue, putting the belief of religion into people.
It's an indictment to religious leaders in Nigeria.
It's not. It's reality. It's reality with proofs. That's why a lot of people who left Nigeria to come here, who find themselves in a society where all the social amenities, everything they need is being provided to them. They find that, and they kind of understand they don't have to pray to get those things again. You see what I mean? That's why a lot of them don't, really believe in religion as much as they do back in Nigeria. So if everything people need comes to them, they would have little or no reason to be connected to a white guy in the sky, who needs to provide everything they want for them. So it's a very difficult topic that needs, proper, treading. If you don't, because it's something we can't take it out of life. It's there. It works so well for the government, and anything that works for the government is very difficult to,
Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do believe in God.
Okay, I will leave it there.
Yeah,
okay. My final question.
Yeah.
5 years in the UK. Two in one question. What is your greatest achievement, and what next?
Right. Achievement is not, to be fair, achievement is not just
measured by wealth or by money?
Achievement is inward. So sometimes achievement takes time to, what again?
Manifest.
It takes time for people to see them. Yeah. So a lot of people are achieving, but it's not yet time for people to see it. So yes, my greatest achievement in this country is me. I've been able to self-develop myself, and I've been able to learn a lot of things that at this time is making me wanting to do more for my people, because we have a long way to go, and also it makes me appreciate my ancestors more than I think I should.
What next for you as a Nigerian?
Life, yeah. Live life, making part in people's, life, especially the people of Nigeria, the people of Africa, and the whole human race, do something different, and make life, easy and comfortable for people around you. Yeah.
I love that response. Achievement is not measured by wealth or physical things. I think one of the greatest achievements is self-discovery. Discover yourself, develop yourself, and move forward. Thank you so much. Let's move to the next segment, which is just about 1 minute.
Okay.
I have 10 simple questions to ask you, which will be Naija or abroad.
Okay.
Your own abroad now is the UK.
Okay.
It has to do with food, social life. I just want to know which one you prefer, Naija or abroad. So number 1, food, Naija or abroad?
Of course, Nigeria. Yeah.
Nigeria. 1. Weather, Naija or abroad?
Of course, Naija.
Naija, okay. Naija is leading to. Work culture, Naija or abroad?
Oh, that's difficult, but abroad.
Abroad, okay. Fair enough. 2-1. Social life, Naija or abroad?
Naija.
Naija. 3-1. Family life, Naija or abroad?
Naija.
4-1. Ministry, so spiritual life, Naija or abroad?
Abroad.
Abroad.
Yeah.
That is 4-2. Raising children, Naija or abroad?
Naija.
5-2. Healthcare, Naija or abroad?
Abroad.
5-3. Life after retirement, Naija or abroad?
Abroad.
Abroad.
Yes.
5-4. The last question.
Oh my God, that makes it even.
If you had to choose where feels more like home, I repeat, if you had to choose where feels more like home, Naija or abroad?
Naija.
Then what have been the UK? Thank you. It's a beautiful moment with you. And for those who are still watching, thank you for staying with us this far. It has been an amazing moment with Oladimeji Iriayo Omilonlo. He has spoken expressively. Personally, I've learned a lot. And for those viewers, thank you for staying with us this far. Naija Across Borders, like we always say, is not to discourage anybody from relocating, and it's not to talk down Nigeria. We just want to balance things, to tell you those realities that many people were not told before relocating. Yes, UK is a beautiful thing, abroad is a beautiful thing, but there's a lot of challenges that if you are not prepared for, may frustrate your life. This is a weekly broadcast. Thank you for watching those far. My name remains Ayo Adebayo. I hope to be with you next week on this same program. Bye for now.